Revisiting the topic of a YouTube channel handoff. Today is Saturday, January 2025, and here Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle, going to revisit the topic of a channel handoff for me / this YouTube channel. I have video filmed and published Saturday, January 2025. That's Seattle time zone, Seattle area. Okay. As follow-up to previously talking through this topic in a video filmed and published on Monday, 26 June 2023. So over a year and a half ago. And back then, and still now, but I've made progress. Back in 2014, I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom and had a virus and fainted and fell backwards and hit my head, cracked my skull a little, and got some long-term memory loss. And I've made memory progress since 2014, but since the last time I covered this topic, so for over a year and a half ago now, I've made progress in the memory space. So I was like, I'm going to bring it up because for kind of like to do three things where I've either made progress or that have kind of changed for what I've covered on this channel. So one, husband. So previously, the person I was talking through handing my channel off to was Nicolo Martinenghi. Mi topo, mi brada. And so since then, I can remember my wedding, my husband, which I didn't actually forget him, but there's like a difference with my amnesia. There's some things that are like, I just can't remember, and then I can remember, and then some things are like, that was one where my recall was significantly impaired, even though I might have remembered. And I think I've brought that up at one point, is I haven't actually completely forgotten that one. My husband, my Nathan Adrian, but the recall was impaired. And so it's a little bit different. There are some things that are just like straight up gone, and then it's those ones are really, really weird. And so it wasn't quite that, but I'm like, I have made progress. So that's a good one to bring up. What about my YouTube channel going to my husband? Okay, and then second channel. So I've brought up starting the second channel for if I go back into research, mathematics. Physics / mathematics, science / mathematics, and so I'm like, well, actually, then if I didn't want to take a hiatus, right, and posting videos, and I am living with my husband, or well, I'm gonna cover, well, there could still be videos published, but I have a handoff and who's like uploading the videos, possibly filming the video, and then the last one, I don't think I covered last time, was death. And so I was like, all right, I got to come up with something. And I was like, you know what? Concerns stemming from a head injury I got from falling and hitting my head on tile in 2014. How about falling, death by falling at polio onset? In 2022, polio cases were on the rise. You know, and polio is a loss of mobility in one's legs. And so at that beginning moment, if I'm standing in the bathroom and I fall forward and hit my head on the tile counter by the sink and then go backwards and hit my head and I'm dead. Right? Who's going to get my channel? Right. So, okay. So, I previously said Nicolo Martinenghi. And especially if I want to take a hiatus in posting myself. Well, perhaps my husband. Though I guess if perhaps my husband. Why my husband? You're going to be like, well, it could still be somebody else. Adding to that in prioritizing, so we could do, so instead of just Nicolo Martinenghi, maybe do my husband, my Nathan Adrian, and then Nicolo Martinenghi. So Nicolo Martinenghi is still there, would be adding and prioritizing my husband. I would be especially, so, okay, so that's the who, broaching from last times and being like, that still holds, just add my husband maybe at the top, and then where it'd be really interesting, I think, would be, and so that could be with or without the second channel I'm living with them at. With this second channel, if we could, there's the 14-month hiatus I've been talking about of me kind of shutting down production and stuff. There's also it could still be that for me, however, then I hand off to my husband, my Nathan Adrian, and be like, you want to run it. It's still, so I am the owner of the channel, and I'm the only person with permissions on this channel. So that would be going through the necessary permissions. I cannot change ownership for the channel, but being like, does my, how would we go about my Nathan Adrian? Is it just adding permissions? Do we need to go and talk to YouTube? You know, that kind of thing. I'm being like, well then it might mean a hiatus for me, but it might not mean a hiatus for you in terms of like new content to consume. So there's that. And then death. So in the case I died all of a sudden, I would want it to go to my husband. Well, maybe we'll keep my husband and then my Nicolo Martinenghi. We'll keep that structure and trust that if that's a fit, it's meant to be, that's who it ends up with, and trust YouTube and whoever would guide that to being legally to my legal husband as the appropriate person. I personally feel, and my stuff as well, all my belongings if that happens, and if not, then maybe just it all goes to the dump. Especially if I do that, you know, if it's that polio onset thing. So yeah, that's revisiting the topic of a YouTube channel handoff. I guess the biggest one there is if my husband were to be in my life. That's consistently. That's something I haven't had yet. I haven't lived with any of my soulmates, and I haven't lived with my husband. And if that were to happen, then it might be, you know, if we're always going to get those people who are like, he's only in a video a week, or like that must mean they're not together the rest of the time or something. Like maybe actually having him, like handing it off, this channel as him would be great, especially if I have that second channel of being like, you know, we're together so much, he's even, you know, running the show for a little bit, so to speak. So there we go. That's revisiting the topic of a YouTube channel handoff over a year and a half later.